It's been a couple of days since scanning, and the team, minus Matt, reflect on the results, what could have caused them, and some ideas for next year.
So we scanned 2 days ago. Richard, do you want to talk through the scanning results compared to perhaps what we were expecting or hoping for?
Yeah. So, we scanned 2 days ago, and we had a lower scanning, a disappointing scanning, I feel, this year at the moment, but we haven't got through all the data yet, so we'll pull all that out and maybe see some trends with younger sheep, etc., and different breeds and one thing and the other. So it was 15 to 20% probably down on what we would have been expecting or what we were wanting. The last 2 or 3 years we've been creeping up our percentages, and so it was the sheep were looking really well, and they were in good condition, and so it's just I was generally disappointed because I was expecting they were going to be that. I felt like I put a lot to them and got them looking really well, and we've condition scoring today and everything, and they're really good conditions, so maybe I over-egged them and got them almost too good. Who knows? But that's the last 2 days it's probably been going around in my head. Or what could I have done? What could I have done? I don't think there's there's no good worrying about it now because can't change anything. Obviously got another year to work on it. We might find some data. We took some bloods. So there's many things that may come out of the wash.
Yeah.
And I think, now we just got to concentrate, get these lambs off the ground. Ewe lambs scan brilliant.
Yeah, so I was going to come on to that. Just to go back a little bit about the data in the mature ewes, or the mixed age ewes. So now that all the ewes are on the system, what we've done is assigned breed, age, scan, and today body condition score. So it's not going to change the outcome, but the really good thing is we're going to be able to go and look at the shearling performance compared to the older ewes. We'll be able to look at the different breeds and just see what we can implement next year or during this year for next year.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, we've got a growing flock at the moment, so we are keeping a lot of young sheep. So we've got a lot of two-tuffs, a lot of four-tuffs, a lot of ewe lambs, and they've all lambed as ewe lambs. So it's kind of, it is a lot of pressure, and they are a big percentage of the flock. But even those old ewes that usually go a bit crazy have kept their numbers down. Look at the positives. It's going to be an easier lambing because it's usually, hopefully. The older ewes can be, carrying more lambs, but then they can't cope with the lambs that they produce sometimes, or that you've got to put a lot more into them. So it may be a shorter grass spring. You just don't know. I might be really happy by come June. I'll be like, oh, this is good. Lambs are doing well. I'll get them off the farm, which when we can look after the sheep and get them through again and go again, can't we? So or free up some more grass for cows maybe. But but we just gotta concentrate now really on making sure the sheep stay in the right condition, get their lambs off them. Obviously the more singles, so we don't want to over-egg the singles and have big single lambs, but generally our singles keep fairly sensible, our lambs keep fairly sensible and get on and lamb themselves. So it's just the next stage, I suppose.
Yeah. And so Mike and Debbie, you will come across more farms in the local area. What reports have you been hearing on scanning? And Mike, you weren't overly surprised that scanning was down a little bit.
No, scanning has been quite mixed this year, I'd say. So you're not alone, Richard. Some scan well, some haven't, and I can't honestly see what the pattern is really. It would be good to look at that data and see if there are any clues there. A few things just worth thinking about. One is we ought to check the rams before tapping next year and just make sure that the rams you're using are fully fit and fertile. And the only other question I had in my mind was, you did have a bit of an outbreak of infectious lameness pre-tapping. Yeah. And I don't know whether that may have had some impact for you.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that had something to do with it. As for the facility, we can check the rams, and we can, I think what was interesting I think if the fertility was a bit short on the rams, you may correct me here, but all but 50 sheep, so 1,000 sheep went in 17 days, and I just feel like everything really was fertile, and our empties are so low.
Yeah.
They're all in lamb, which is great. You know, if we had a low scanning percentage, I suppose, and we had a lot of empty sheep, that'd be worse. But you know, they have actually lamb. They're in lamb, and I think with being in lamb within that first cycle that fast, I feel like the sheep were probably fit, but whether either the lameness or maybe you might correct me, maybe the rams were even too fat or something like that they might have not been producing enough, or the sheep might not have been producing enough eggs from the lameness or whatever, you know. That we did have that was an unfortunate almost, we've been naive to any feet problems. We were naive to any feet problems, and something got in and it just went for the whole flock. So it was
well, you recovered from that really well, didn't you? You know, they responded well to treatment. You know, you were hot on it for a period. Need to keep that up now with lambing approaching, because we don't want them to start losing condition because they're lame. We know sheep lose condition when they're lame, and that may well have been, I don't know, a factor in your low scanning percentage. The fact they all went on so quickly does put a lot of pressure on rams. I'd agree.
I'd agree, but
I don't know how you use the rams though. You might just say how you use.
We had quite big tapping groups.
What sort of size?
So about around 300, 350.
With how many would you say? Rams?
Ram per 50. So we weren't over. You know, we didn't stress. I wouldn't said again.
No.
I wasn't even pushing the rams to their max. There was 6 or 7 rams in a group. So you had a lot of ram power, really. And then if a couple are fighting, the rest are getting on or whatever. You know, it's kind of, I think
were they mixed age rams?
They were mixed age rams. I think really the biggest disappointment for me is we obviously worked really hard when the sheep had that lameness run through. So every morning I was just gathering sheep there back in like August, September time to get over, so then we could keep the sheep going and get them right. We worked really hard to get the condition scores right for the sheep. I worked really hard to get the rams in good fiddle, and we were joking about that. Actually, everything's looking bob on here. They went on so fast, like 1,000 ewes in 17 days out of 1,040 or 1,050, and you're just like, everything here is ticking the boxes, and we could have a really big scan here.
You might have a different problem.
No, I was saying if it's 200%, I will be out of here.
Yeah.
You won't see me for dust.
So that was kind of like the joking bit, and I was just like, we got to hopefully have a nice, I want 170% really. I'm not asking for the earth, and that's kind of where we are, 170, 175. We were then worried like, we might hit 190 here, and that would be 190, 200. That would be to me, that would be a nightmare, lambing outdoors, and then we didn't even get to that mark.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest disappointment. But that is nature, sheep, life, farming. So I'm not alone. I know of other people that have got probably worse. I've heard some absolutely awful stories. So then you're like, well, it's not so bad. But it's just, I guess, it's like, we're following this whole story this year as well. Yeah.
I think for next year, you mentioned the boluses that you changed. I think if we don't do it before, I think perhaps before your bolus, next year we ought to do a test.
Yeah.
Test some trace elements and just see what deficiencies there are, if there are any.
Yeah. There's no point wasting like £1,000 or more on boluses
if you don't need
them at all.
No. And I think the only other thing I can say is, because it's a bit of a hobby horse of mine, is I think you should test the rams, because we've been thinking about the ewes and why their scanning percentage is not as high as it could be. Well, maybe they're not to blame. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be the boys.
It might be the boys. They always get left out, Richard.
Yeah.
It may be the boys.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, it's good to blame something.
And on the other hand, it may be several things,
Yeah.
small things.
It could be
that-
a combination,
and
weather.
timing and lameness.
Yeah.
Just a few things
Yeah.
at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Watch out for the video when the data has been crunched, and we can discuss in more depth the scanning results. The main thing now is that the team work to make sure as many lambs are reared as possible